Hey everybody, really excited to welcome Zach Snider to LivLive this morning. We're running just a couple minutes late, so thanks for hanging around. We had some technical difficulties. So Zach's coming in completely cold. He hasn't been prepped for this. He has no idea what this show's about. It's going to be something special. But Zach is co-founder, owner of Alloy Architecture and Construction there in Charlottesville, North Carolina.
Virginia.
Oh, sorry. I'm down in North Carolina, in Charlottesville, Virginia. Just a really super smart, articulate person who's better at geography than I am. So Zach, thanks for joining, man. Excited to have you here.
Yeah, good to be here.
So
we'll see how articulate I am.
Well, we didn't have a whole lot of time to chat beforehand because I know you were coming from a meeting, but are there any topics you want to make sure we cover today?
No, man, this is your world. I'll just go with the flow. I don't.
All right. We'll do that. Well,
I can follow a conversation. I'm not a conversation starter.
All right, deal. All right, I'll start and I'll try not to interject too much. But
okay.
Yeah, you guys are kind of similar to LivCo, right? In the sense that you have an architect and a builder background partnership. So you and Dan Zimmerman formed Alloy. How long ago now?
2007. So what is that? 18 years.
18 years.
This is our 18th year, I guess. Yeah.
And the way I always heard it is you were a builder, right? And Dan was an architect. And you guys, how did you kind of join forces?
Builder is a stretch. I was a carpenter at the time, and I went on and got my contractor's license, and have been doing some remodeling. That was what I was doing at the time. And then Dan was architect. He was licensed and was doing a small kind of one man show design build operation in like 05, 06. And we met through some mutual friends and social connections here in Charlottesville, Virginia. And that's where it started.
So he was a one-man design build operation. So how knowledgeable or skilled was he at the build side?
I think he had some experience. He had this old log cabin up near Winchester where he grew up that he had like renovated himself. So he had some, hands on the ground, boots on the ground, kind of hands-on experience. I remember the jobs he was doing were real small, kind of like millwork installs and like, dining, like little jewel box dining booths and stuff like that. When we met, I had the scale of the projects that I was doing at the time. Not grand. We're bigger than what Dan was doing as far as like I was doing additions and kind of whole house renovations on my own.
But you were on your own then. So you were a carpenter, general contractor. So when did the light bulb go off? Like, hey, let's join forces. Let's kill this thing.
Oh. We decided, like, I think we met and we decided that, I think both of us wanted to be working with somebody else, like that, working alone is kind of grueling. So we both knew we wanted to work with somebody else. So we just started helping each other on our projects. Like I helped him on that log cabin and he helped me on some additions and whatever I had going on. And just, like through talking and, working together, we decided we just give it a go. And I remember we made a 5-year commitment to each other. We're like, all right, if we're gonna go through the steps of creating an LLC and forming this business, we're going to give it at least 5 years and see what happens. And so that was 07 to 12, and I think things went pretty well for those first 5 years. And then like we had the conversation of like, yeah, let's keep it going, like another 5 years, that's easy to commit. And then like I think 13 and 14 were like our worst years ever. They just sucked. And so I think it wasn't until, you asked kind of two questions. When did we decide to join forces? That was 2006. We formed the company in 07. And then your second question is, when did you decide, hey, let's kill this thing? I don't think that happened until probably in the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Funny, I found, I don't even remember what I was looking for just yesterday in our, it must have been, so we just decided to buy a little piece of property here in Charlottesville. Um, and I was looking for some of our organizational documents to send to the attorney who's doing the closing. And I found a projection from that I must have written in 2018. And it was looking 17 or 18. It was looking at our 5-year projection. So our goal at that time for 2023 was, I think, 1.7 million revenue with a $75,000 net profit. And that seems, ambitious, but like reasonable. And what did we actually do in that?
Oh, wait, I just lost your audio. You just disconnected. I want to know. Oh, you're
Am
back.
I back?
Yeah, you're
Okay.
back.
Sorry, I was trying
Well,
to.
yeah, we have to know what you actually did that year.
In 23.
Yeah, so you said you were projecting you were projecting a $75,000 net profit,
Yeah.
right?
I have some. Can I navigate around on my computer without screwing up our connection?
Sure.
Yeah. So we had projected total revenue of 1.7 with a net profit at like a 4% at $76,000. And in 2023, our actuals were 4.7 million with a net of 11%, almost 12%.
Whoa, that's not very good projecting there, Zach.
No, that was.
Was that
Good
because
point.
you were on the conservative side?
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
think I've always tended a little bit that way. Yeah.
Well, I don't understand. I want to dig in a little bit more on that. So how can you operationally do 3 times more revenue? I'm not saying like how is that possible? Like I'm judging you or saying that that's not true. But like, what changes did you do operationally to make your company achieve that, right, without losing money? Because it's easy to take on a big project or something like that and boost that revenue, but to do it successfully, continue to have happy clients and be somewhat profitable, there has to be some pretty significant things that you guys put in place, right?
Yeah, I think so. I can probably speak to some of the practical changes that we made. But I think, like, to your point initially of like, boy, that's bad projecting. I think you're right. And I think the reason that those projections were so conservative was mainly just a failure of imagination, like self-limiting biases or whatever. Like I couldn't picture doing more than what we were doing at that time, right? Because like in those, we had some really rough years in that, like the early 2000 teens. We started to kind of get things stabilized and figured out, but it was like, to run at that 1.7 1.5, 1.7, it felt like we were just so stretched thin. Like it was just so much effort to try to get that right. And there was so much going on with, both, both Dan and I being in the weeds, managing clients, trying to run a business, doing all this stuff of working in a business and on the business. It just didn't feel possible to do more than that.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine how things could be different to allow us to do, almost 5 million in revenue. And I think the changes we made were, I think around that time is when we decided to kind of branch out from doing all in-house carpentry and production and start using more subcontractor-based work. We brought on a guy to do, production management. that's a big change to allow me to kind of step back from the day-to-day management and focus more on business stuff, and just allow us to scale up without it feeling like everybody was just slammed to the wall, busy all the time.
Yeah. Was there any other significant hiring? I mean, I guess structurally it was probably a big deal just to shift. Did you then shift lead carpenters to project managers, or?
Yeah, that was a big structural shift. Is change from trying to do all the production work ourselves with like a lead carpenter system to more of like a site superintendent, construction manager on site, project manager in the office, or production manager in the office, supporting those guys, and then having most of our production work being done on the ground by trade partners.
Okay, yeah,
which has been a great change.
Yeah, everything, and you're kind of in the general manager seat, right? Like the director of ops. So I'm sure just managing all the financials of that and WIP and everything else is just like wildly different, and indirect costs when you're dealing with the subcontractor than what you were used to for 15 years, right?
Yeah.
Was it easier?
Yeah, so much easier.
Yeah. How about estimating? Did estimating have to shift a lot in terms of trying to, get real numbers from subs, or were you guys able, based on kind of your historic labor estimating, able to kind of determine what you thought something should take and what a subcontractor should charge?
Well, in putting together bids for projects for our clients, we're getting numbers from trade partners for all those components of work. And we have something earlier, farther upstream in the process. We're coming up with estimates based on historic data, but now, and I think even as early as possible, we saw the value of saying, all right, like what's this going to cost from framing contractor, get that number and plug it into the budget, even if we don't have a fully defined scope right away. We can get an idea of that from that guy, and getting their buy-in early on those things helps a lot.
Right. You guys,
yeah.
I was going to shift gears a little bit outside of kind of the number part. So in terms of like your project types, and this not necessarily you personally, but Alloy, what is kind of your ideal project? What does it look like?
I think that's been a change also in that time frame, as our project size has grown. So about the same number of projects per year, but just bigger volume, bigger projects. So I think that allows you to turn more revenue without adding to the workload quite as directly as just saying, all right, we're going to do a lot more projects of the same size. But to your question, I think our ideal project is like a renovation addition, custom, somebody who's interested in nice design, something custom, somebody who does not, we've learned that DIYers are not our ideal client. We want people that value that we're bringing, expertise and, the ability to manage a project, and that we're bringing that to the table, and they're they might be able to find fixtures for less at Lowe's or whatever, but they don't want it. Our ideal clients aren't interested in shopping for that stuff. They want us to just handle it, right?
Yeah.
Additions. We don't do a lot of like, okay, we're just going to do a bathroom or a kitchen. It's always like, second story, primary suite. We're renovating the bathroom and the primary bedroom, or it's a kitchen and a first floor renovation with a living room and an expansion for an office or whatever. We're not doing a lot of like kitchen, a bathroom, a deck. We're doing more comprehensive projects.
Yeah. Yeah, more sophisticated, right? Kind of a different creative design solution.
Yeah, more complex design solutions for sure, and like providing multiple options at the outset um, with pricing that goes along with that. And option A is going to be roughly this much versus option B, etc.
Well, I would imagine in the mount, because you guys are in the foothills of the Appalachians there in Charlottesville, Virginia, home of the
Yep.
um, rival University of Virginia Cavaliers, as Dan and I both went to Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I didn't go to UV.
Then you went to West Virginia, right? Or you're from Morgantown.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but anyway, we're not going to get into that.
Okay.
But yeah, so you guys are in kind of the foothills of the Appalachians. It has to be some really interesting mix of housing types, right? Interesting terrain, interesting. Like I don't even know. Like when you dig, and I guess you don't have to go too deep there. Probably 18 inches or something. But what is the
Right.
ground? Do you even know? Could it be bedrock? Could it be?
Sometimes, yeah, we run into rock, weird kind of crumbly bedrock that you can usually chop out somehow or another, but not always. But yeah, usually it's just like hard, red dirt.
Like
Now and then we'll run into like this
Yeah.
Expansive clay that's problematic, where you get like you can't build a foundation on expansive clay, I've learned.
And then in housing types, it seems like you have everything from houses built in the 90s and the 80s to mountain cabins, right? Didn't you guys do was that a year or so ago, some really cool old historic project that was kind of nuts, right?
Yeah, an old I don't honestly know the full history of the house, but it's been there for I think since the 1860s, and it was this tiny little, probably part of a farm, just outside of Charlottesville. That now is like in Charlottesville proper. Yeah, it was a neat old house, and been added on to multiple times. And then once we kind of broke it open and demoed it, it was pretty clear that like, oh, there was this house, and they had like a wood shed that they then just enclosed, and then they extended off of that and built another thing. And yeah, so that was pretty neat. And then we had like recently we did a house like farther west out in the mountains that was built in the 80s, and it was this deck house, kind of acorn deck house, is like a kit home. They're really neat. I don't know if you're not familiar with them, Dave, you should look them up. They're pretty neat.
Kind of like an A-frame type of.
I mean, yes, and then it's like a kit house, but the form is it's a very low pitch roof.
Okay.
It's got a real kind of mid-century vibe, low pitch, exposed beams. They call it deck house because the floor and the roof are made of 2x6 tongue and groove fir, some kind of Western. Yeah, and it's these big solid big planks, and the roof deck, you can see inside, extends from inside to outside.
Yeah,
they're pretty neat. Pain to insulate, but they're pretty cool.
Yeah, so I mean, you get quite a variety. I think that would be really cool, and that has to always keep it fun, right? Because there's nothing easy about what we do, but when you have really fun, intriguing problems and housing types to solve, keeps it fresh, right?
Yeah, lots of fun, like 80s, 90s fake Virginia colonial houses. I always love that.
Yeah, but I mean, I grew up in Richmond, right? So the 5.4 and a door was kind of the industry standard, which is a really cool, intelligent housing form for that time. And I remember always talking to my brother, who he's like, I just want a colonial house. I'm like, okay, but remember, an actual colonial house doesn't have a kitchen, right? Because it was 5.4 and a door. It was 2 rooms with a chimney at each end that would warm the entire house, and the kitchen would be in the back. So then you get these kind of morphing things of it, which is a lot of what you see today. But there's a lot of fun things you can do with it. And really kind of keep the clean, simple integrity of that colonial design.
Yeah.
And it's simple. I mean, it's not like shaker simple, but it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, nice. Yep.
organizationally. It's kind of the model for every house that was built throughout the 80s and 90s came from, that colonial floor plan.
Yeah.
Come in, living room, dining room, kitchen behind the dining room. Right?
Kitchen in the back. Yeah.
Yep.
Put some fake columns on the front stoop and one of those
And boom.
roof stick-on things.
So and you grew up in Morgantown, right, in West Virginia?
Yep.
So what did you get involved in carpentry and construction there? What kind of drove you to the world of building?
No, I didn't. Well, we had my dad was like a tinkerer, and he always had a workshop because he went through this period of motorcycle collection. He had like 9 old antique motorcycles, and he like restored some, worked on. So he had this like workshop, and that morphed into boat building. So he was building wooden boats. We're like landlocked in Morgantown, West Virginia. The Monongahela River's there. We built a little rowboat we'd go paddle around on. We built some wooden kayaks and then stuff like that. It was fun, that was like when I was a teenager in high school and stuff. So I was always kind of messing around with that. And then after college, I went and worked in the timber industry, like
climbing trees?
No, I was a logger. I just cut trees down and
Okay.
pulled them out of the woods to send them to the mill. And it was great. It was a fun thing to do for a couple of years. But I was more interested on like what happened on the other side of the mill. And so I decided to move back to that was up in New England, which I just wanted to be closer to home. So we moved down here to Charlottesville, and I got a job working for a contractor and learned to be a carpenter. That's how.
And then what, on that note, because I kind of consider you like a true maker, right? Like the tinkerer mentality. Like I feel like whether it's working through building systems or computer systems or building your own stuff, you enjoy the art of creating something, right? So
yeah.
What's the latest DIY on your own house? What have you been working on?
Oh, what have I done on my own house? Well, my daughter is 13 now. She went away to summer camp for a couple of weeks this summer, and we like kind of reconfigured her bedroom because she, hated the closet. So we had to change that. So, that was like demo, repaint, and build some, flat packed beast of a wardrobe from, I don't even know where we bought the thing from, some Chinese flat pack thing. So yeah, that sounds awesome, doesn't it?
Or what's the coolest DIY or coolest thing you've ever built for yourself or your family?
Oh, that was it's been 3 or 4 years now, but we tore the roof off and added a second story to our house. We have a small, I think our house is under 2,000 square feet in Charlottesville, but here. But it's a great house. It serves our needs, and it's clean and simple and efficient. And that was a great project. It was during the pandemic, and when the kids were home from school and they were younger, and my wife and I had to kind of split time staying home and trying to work. And I said, well, if I can't, if I got to be home, I'll just start digging footers. And that turned into us adding on and renovating our house. That was great. And now we're like, what I'm thinking about most now is improving our outside space and like some landscape architecture stuff that I'm noodling on. So
now, did you design your addition, or did Dan design it, or did you both design it?
Neither. My sister's an architect. Yeah.
Did Dan want nothing to do with it, or you wanted him to have nothing to do with it? These are all. Yeah. You don't have to answer that.
No, it was just. It was like I'm also very much like. I get very practical with my projects, and I just wanted to work and to fit and to give us the program we needed. So, my sister, who actually she worked at Alloy from probably 2010 to 17 or 18, something like that, as an architect. Um, and she lives here in town, so we just collaborated on it. It was super informal, and
Cool.
she did some super basic plans and SketchUp and enough to get a permit. And I went with it.
Cool, man.
I mean, of course, I talked to Dan about it, and we collaborated
I'm
some
just
on
giving
it.
you a hard time. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
What do you guys? So you said you guys just purchased some land. What's the plan? What are y'all gonna do?
It's a little house here, not too far from our office, in a neighborhood that seems like it's kind of on the edge of where like some Charlottesville's kind of growing. But yeah, it's a house. It was a good buy. I mean, the median home price here in Charlottesville is astronomical, and this was well under that. And yeah, we're gonna just see about what it looks like to renovate a house for the business and hold it as a rental. I think is the plan,
Oh,
and
okay.
kind of
Cool.
keep it long term.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think flipping doesn't really. I don't think either of us like the idea of the kind of quick flip, cash out, and move on. One of our core values is to contribute to the community we live in, and we'd like to think that we can do this in a way that our community has a severe housing shortage, like a lot of places in Charlottesville, and we like the idea of taking this house and making it into two reasonably affordable duplexes,
Yeah.
something like that. Just add, take one unit, make it two.
Cool.
Good quality house that people can rent affordably. So that's the idea. We'll see how it goes.
On that note, do you guys see a lot of ADUs starting in Charlottesville? Is that becoming a thing?
Yeah, it is. It's something a lot of people are talking about and doing. Like I have an ADU at my house that we do short-term rentals with. We've done a few of them in town. I think everybody loves the idea of it until they see what it actually costs to build one
Yeah.
the right way, and then it's like, oh, wait, what?
Yeah, I mean, a garage, it's more than a garage, and you have to have all these. So, if anybody doesn't know, an ADU would be an accessory dwelling unit. So, there's a lot of cities, towns, which are passing ordinances allowing these types of things on a property. So, if you owned a house, you could essentially build a rental unit, either attached or detached from the house. So, part of the intent is individual homeowners to be able to help solve the housing crisis, right? Is kind of the idea.
Our city zoning ordinance changed recently to allow for more ADUs and higher density in the city, and then was promptly. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too far, but there was a suit brought against the city, and now we don't have any zoning.
Oh wow!
Yeah. There was a handful of people that were very much opposed to the new zoning, and what it would allow, what the kind of development it would allow near their houses, and they brought this lawsuit. And some technical error happened in the way that the defendant's presentation. Honestly, it was like the city's attorney didn't file the paperwork on time, and so the judge just like threw the case out and said, and then didn't revert back to the existing zoning, but somehow they just eliminated any zoning regulation right now.
It's like Houston. You guys are Houston right now. That house you guys bought, you should just build like a 30-story tower on it.
Yeah, totally. That's what we're going to do. As soon as we raise the capital for that.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, so it's a little weird. I think it's kind of a constant conversation, and they're working on trying to figure it out. But a lot of people don't like the idea of neighborhoods changing from what they've been used to forever.
Yeah, that's been one consistent thing over time, right?
Yeah.
people like what they know. People know what they like and they like what they know, right? It's kind of the idea.
Yep.
Well, we're pretty much at time here, man. I really appreciate you last minute taking a little bit of time to chat. Anything else that you wanted to add that we didn't talk about?
I thought we were going to talk about cycling and centrist politics and comedy. What wasn't that?
Yeah, we didn't get to that. We got the zoning. Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, a little bit of politics. That's all.
This is the kind of podcast that Zach was very clear that he wouldn't listen to because it's not really topics he's interested in. He's more interested in what is it? Cycling, centrist politics, and what's the third?
I've been taking some comedy podcasts lately.
Oh, comedy. Yeah. Anything that you want to talk about in terms of cycling, comedy, or centrist politics?
No, I don't. I'm going to see Adam Sandler this week. He's playing at the local
oh, cool,
JPJ venue. So we're taking the kids to see a 16 and over only explicit comedy show.
Well, he nailed it with Happy Gilmore too. That was like family friendly. Hit the whole sequel from the first one. I thought it was great.
It was really good. Yeah.
Thanks, man. If people want to look you guys up and find you, what's the best location?
Well, there's our website is alloyworkshop.com. And then we're on the socials.
Awesome. Yeah, always doing cool stuff.
Mostly
Definitely
Instagram, I guess.
Yeah, definitely check out their Instagram. Lots of really fun stuff and cool videos and things like that. So thanks again for hanging out, Zach. Always a pleasure to see you, man. Say hey to the Alloy crew and talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds great, Dave.
Thanks, man.